Just we'll start in just 2 minutes. Please hold on. Yeah, so shall we start?
With 20 journal publications, 25 conference papers, and 4 research projects. Moreover, he has successfully supervised 10 PhD scholars, reflecting his dedication to advancing research and mentoring the next generation of scientists. Dr. Majumdar's expertise spans across diverse areas of computer science, and his academic rigor and innovative insights have earned him recognition within the research community. On behalf of the organizing committee and all participants, it is an honor to extend a warm welcome to you, Dr. Majumdar. We are delighted to have you with us today and look forward to an engaging and enlightening session. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think, is my voice clear?
Yes, sir, your voice is clear.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So without delay, let us start. I have done login to another thing. Just I wanted to see whatever is going on, and when I'm sharing the screen, I'm unable to see the chat box. So yeah, I have two logins over there. And yeah, so as you go on, I will also look into the chat, and if I get specific question, I will jump into it. Anyway, so good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Dr. Majumdar. And yeah, and this is a funny topic that I'm going to deal with. Yesterday, Dr. Mahipal asked me to do about something about this. Because actually previously I used to teach about Google Classroom specific for the teachers to how to handle the classroom, and the other Google Doc for productivity and management of the classroom, and off and on both the things. So this topic that he asked me to handle is kind of new and interesting. Why? Because we have been using AI for many things, but then I have been asked to specifically do it for the learning. So my scope of usage is not a specific tool or something, but it's more of a usage of this for more engaging learning and helping the students to self learn and all those things, right? So basically I'm not going to handle how you can write maybe uh, email or something like that. No, I'm not going into that. I will specifically focus on lecture plan, lecture schedule, learning about it. So all regarding teaching and learning. I'm not going beyond it. So yeah, that will not be the scope of the thing. That's the first thing. Okay, the second is we'll go in two modes. First, few things we'll look into the slide. I know few of the things have been covered in the previous topics, previous sessions that we have. So we'll be using same thing like prompt engineering and all those things that we have already discussed about it earlier. Those things will obviously part of it, because you cannot escape a prompt engineering and all those things and the tools, even if you want to do AI for learning. So I renamed my topic into something called Learner AI Connection. What I mean by that is how a learner and how the AI, generative AI specifically, is linked, and how the development is going on specific for the learning. So in that case, I am not going to look at all the tools. I'm going to focus on Google based tools. You might say why? The reason behind this is where other platforms have built their uh, platforms for general purpose use, whatever you want, you can use it. Google, on the other hand, focus specifically on the teaching learning, right? So even if they can't compare general search in terms of chat gpt, or maybe the authenticity of the perplexity, but they have specific power on this. So they have specific tools on that. So we're going to go one by one on that. So before we jump into it, we'll have a refresher first. So that will be slides. And then after few of the slides, we'll jump and look into some of the tools and use them directly. And rather than looking at the slides, which becomes a bit of boring, we can always jump into the things. I think there is a network issue. Better I will switch off my video for the time being, or can we do that? Let it be. If you are unable to listen to me, or if there are glitches, please let me know. In that case, I will switch off my camera. Okay. So first of all, what do we mean by AI for learning? Right, there are specific plus points that we are going to get when we are using this AI. Right. For example, personalization. What do I mean by that? When you are doing a lecture plan, when you are trying to uh, create the learning perspective, you understand that not everybody understands all the perspectives equally. For example, few people understands more with example, few people understands better with mathematics, few people understands on more elaborate discussions. So question is, okay, in the classroom we cannot do that, or even when we are learning, all the books do not help me in that way. We have to, I mean, if you remember, when studying we have to go through and find so many books, finding out which suits us better. It's kind of all books together. Not we can compare with that books, with books, because of the certain reasons you might have discussed. We'll come to that. But the question is, for learning with AI, we can customize based on our need. What kind of lecture plan do we want? What kind of lessons do we want? or which one is preferable for my understanding, I can do that specifically over there. And that's a huge plus point. Second is speed authoring. Once you have read about it, now you want to generate a lecture plan, or maybe you want to generate a summary, right? We have spent a lot of time using the note takings and everything. Although, I mean, I'm not going into the discussion that which one is better cognitively, but if time is the essence, then you can do a speed authoring. What we mean by that, based on this, you can create quizzes for yourself. Remember, I'm talking about learning. I will go one by one how we can do that. Or you can use for the flashcards, pointing out the specific things that you want to discuss. All those things can be done, right? So, second is speed authoring. Third is you can have consistent feedback. So, you can do timely feedback. You can set up your system like that. Or for the lecture also, you can instruct the module or model so that it can takes feedback time to time from you, understanding how much you have understood, so you can fit into different things. Also, if you are teaching, then the question is, how do I evaluate a student's learning capability or student's understanding on a particular topic? In that case, you can create something called rubrics. Maybe if you are using classroom or any such tools, you are familiarized with something called rubrics. So it's kind of a framework based on which we can evaluate different assignments, right? Uh, then you can do something called data driven decisions. That means based on whatever the input, you can analyze the students and you can improve the accessibility. You can summarize everything. You can have speech support. That means there is a text, you can convert that to a text to speech, or you can convert that to a discussion. Again, we'll go into this, we'll find out how to do it. Again, where it will come somewhere. Remember, I mean, if you look at your friends, you will find out some people are better at reading books. Example, myself itself. I mean, I'm not very good at the hearing part, but then I rely on the books. But I've seen my friends who understands better in the classroom setting where he listens to the things. So they want an audio format or somebody explaining things to them that makes them understand better. So, understanding the things, right? So there are different platforms, different modes of access that will help you understand. So that's the few things that you have to understand why we want to do that. I mean, generally, again, why we have kept this slide is there is a big debate that shall we use AI for learning or not. So this kind of few of the pointers why you might consider AI for learning itself. Now, again, I will come to some points on that. Not everything is well and good like this, but let's continue with this. So again, let's refresh some of the terms that we have used earlier, right? AI, we have used that. We're not going to it. Generative AI, right? That creates content, images, audio, and all the things, right? So it generates contents based on the previous learning. The third or the most important thing for this course is probably the prompt, right? Prompt simply says the instruction that the user gives to the model so that it gets the best possible outcome from the model. So prompt helps you get the best out of the model based on what you need. So if you can tell the model better, if you can express yourself better, you are going to get a better outcome from this, right? Based on this, there will be something called chatbots. You have seen, I mean, chatbots is a very old concept, but why we are discussing it over here is the LLMs have changed chatbots like anything. What do I mean by this? The LLMs, I mean, if you look at the chatbots right now, they are much more smart based on the generative AI. If you go back previously, there were some AI-based chatbots, there were some static chatbots where you can give a specific tasks or specific instructions. Based on that, they will only work. Now, right now, the chatbots that are generative AI-based, they can actually understand what you are saying. Even if you are stating something out of context, it can understand it and reply. Maybe it does not have the answer for it, but it can handle that almost like a human being. So sometimes you will really forget about if there is this person handling over there or there is a chatbot over there. In fact, you have a voice-based chatbot right now where it can interact vocally with you, right? Like you do on the Gemini or maybe chatbot, ChatGPT voice, right? The first final thing is the large language model, where you have a Gen AI trained on a vast amount of natural language materials and generated text. Based on that, it learns and it creates it. Now, anyway, when we are talking about Gen AI, it's not always LLM based. For example, when you are creating image or video, it might include some of the other things. So it cannot only depend on the LLM, but it has to have the other things of understanding image. If you're talking about image generation, or maybe the video transitions, if you're working with the Sora AI or something like that for the video. But the point is, if it depends on what is the outcome needed from this model. Based on that, but LLM is always there. Why? Because the instructions mostly given on the LLM. So it has to understand, it has to first create the memory around it, then create the outcome. So it's a mix of multiple models. Anyway, so let's move forward. Uh, I will just go specific, quickly on this. Large language models like ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever you have. You have done already ChatGPT part of the Gemini. You have done maybe some other modules. You have also done generative programs like Delhi or Sora AI and many other things that generate other parts. And the integration. Now this is being embedded everywhere. Now you have the AI based operating system. You have AI based software, you have AI based browser. If you heard about the Comet browser from the Perplexity, you know that the AI based browser. Now the difference between that, you might say, you can say that I can use Copilot in Internet Explorer or Edge browser, but the difference is it can only read the data, it cannot access the pages, where Comet can actually access the entire data and even change, click, modify, include, do the all automations that you want. So it's kind of a digital PA that you can talk about. Anyway, so these are the things that you can achieve from this. Okay, what we are going to do? We are going to do content generation, right? That's one of the most important part. If you want to, what do you mean by content generation? We want to create lessons, we want to create questions, case studies, teaching materials, multimedia summaries that we are going to use for learning, right? These are all the things that we are going to use. And then we'll have to do a personalization and adaptive learning. What do you mean by that? That there can be resource and recommendations given by AI, right? For the learner provides to enhance your performance. It can do quiz, it can use flashcards to test your theory based on that and adapt to the different things. So each time you develop a new learning material, what you can do always is at the end of the material you can do a quiz to test your theory, or maybe if you want to just remember some concepts, you can use something called a flashcard. We'll come to that as we are going to go. Finally, obviously, I think this is an FDP, so we're talking about teachers, so you will ultimately want to assess and grade. Although this is exactly not we're not going to enter over here, but you can use the rubrics and other things. You can create quiz, you can create rubrics and all other things to handle everything. Okay. Then we can do a feedback and revision coaching. So based on, let's say you look at someone's performance, and based on that you want your model to give a feedback on what where the students lack or where I am lacking if I am the learner here. Based on who is the learner, it can highlight the areas that you lack. So based on the feedbacks, based on the questionnaires that it does, it can give you an idea that where you should focus next. And then if you ask the AI, they can generate more detailed content on that particular point, and analytics and early warning. So it can give you warning on where you are losing out. If you are making the same mistake, it can point you out that you are doing this. Okay, so that's more or less the case of AI. Now, use case for the teacher and student would be slightly different. Although whatever the student can do, teachers can also do, but not the other way around. Now, so for educators, what we are talking about lesson plan, content adoption, assessment design, research support, and everything. And there are on-demand assistants, right? For students, we can have on-demand assistants, personalized study tools, research writing support, and career readiness, right? We'll look at some of the development on that particular thing. Okay, I think this particular topic has been discussed, maybe, or will be discussed in detail later on. Whatever we do, we have to be very much careful about something called hallucination, right? So, what we mean by that is AI models or Gen AI models tend to hallucinate. Hallucination, you understand, right? You thought of things that are present, or you remember discussions that you have had, but you actually never had that. So hallucinations in AI means that they will provide topics, they will provide references as if they are real, but they are not always true. I mean, basically, if you want to do some research or something like that, they will try to create or fabricate new topics which do not really exist. Now, the question is, uh, if that is a huge problem, and if that is a problem that exists in all the models, why don't we recover that? For that, you have to understand how does these models work, right? You have to understand that these models, they are trained based on the real data. Up to that is fine. But after the training is done, they do not carry forward all the data, right? They have from the data, they create a series of patterns. They will create multiple patterns like you do your brain connections, right? You do it again and again, and your brains understand the pattern of doing it. Something else similar in nature you get, your brain gives you thoughts based on the patterns that you have observed earlier. The same thing happens over here. So here, after the training, what we have is a series of patterns. Now, whenever you give an input, you ask for something, it will try to find out something, and but it also tries to find out new things based on the pattern. If a pattern says something is possible, it might say it is there, right? So that's one of the thing. A huge problem is if you try to generate topics, maybe you are trying asking for some topic that exists and you ask for citation, it will give you a series of topics and it will give you citation. Sometimes you'll find out the theory it says that exists does not really exist. Also, it will give you citation to the links and all those papers that do not really exist. So each time you search something, you have to be very careful if the things are actually real on that. That brings us to a very huge question. The question is, then why are we going to use this? Right? So the first thing we are going to use for the things that we can verify, right? So we should not use AI completely blindly. You can use it for the first interaction to understand how to go forward, but you can never go beyond the verified material, right? So generally what we say is you can use for a topic for which you have a book where you can always refer to, or you can refresh a topic that you have already studied earlier, so that you are able to at least guess if something which is mentioned over here is more or less right or wrong. The topics that are pretty much standard and has been pretty old and you have a lot of data, in that cases you will find out AI to be pretty much accurate. But when you are working on a new topic where only very few amount of documents exist, you will find out the models will hallucinate more and more in this senses, right? So you have to be very careful on what topic and where you are going to use it. And specifically, if you are going to use it for research, please do not use in research for understanding this. I mean, where you can use, we'll come to that, but you can use only in the limited area where you can use. But otherwise, it will, give you some things which do not refer, and if you use it, you will be stuck. Also, ethically, that is not right, because if a content is generated by AI, then the ownership is also with the AI tool, not with you, right? So again, so we'll come to that and we'll look at some of the tools that will help you go beyond this, right? Some of the tools that will help you on that, and how you can keep the hallucination to a check. That's what we will discuss. Okay. Obviously, we cannot go beyond the prompt engineering. I know that you have already done. The only thing is, I mean, I thought that it might not be very bad to just have a quick refresher on that, right? So basically, what is prompt engineering? Prompt is the instructions and the context that you give to the language model based on which they will reply, right? So prompt engineering is the process of designing and refining these prompts, right? So let's say you want something, then how well you can structure the sentence so that the model understand exactly what we want. That's what we do. Now, basically, you will find out some of the new jobs that have come up based on this. So rather than having a PA or someone who can access it, people are, for the small roles, people are asking for people who know prompt engineering. I'm not really sure how long this is going to work, because eventually everyone will learn for this. But again, for the time being, there is a job description that calls it's a prompt engineering. Anyway, so let's move forward. So let's look at some of the one prompt and what makes it a good prompt. I'm sure that you have done that, but there is no logic beyond doing it once again. So we are going to use Google tools. So what I've done is I have taken this based on the Google. So whatever we are going to do is more suitable for the Google based discussions, right? So let's say I have a simple prompt, says that they give me some lesson ideas for ninth grade biology. Again, this, remember, this is kind of uh, uh, what we are going to discuss next is actually designed by some Google prompt engineer and Google educators. So this sample topic prompt that we see gives some lesson ideas for ninth grade biology. It's very vague. You can see over there, it simply says lesson ideas for ninth grade biology. It does not say that what kind of lesson, right? How many ideas do you want? So the clarity is lacking, right? So better we go for a next one where we give more information to the model. We say that suggest 3 activities to teach ninth grade, right? So we are specifying whom is going to be the listener, what is the exact topic, and how many do you need, right? So I'm giving more information about it on how to do the prompt. But still, I'm not really sure that what would be the style of the outcome, because I'm not specified what we exactly need, and who am I is also not mentioned. So if you want to do a better thing, what you can do is you can specify who you are. So you can add that you are an instructional designer for ninth grade biology, and what you exactly need. The output format is one interactive lab, one inquiry based exploration, and one collaborative project. So this sums up what we really need from this, right? So based on this, I mean, what we do, I've seen people try to do guesswork on designing prompts. So what Google suggests, that uh, you can have the something called parts framework. Previously, they used to push something called a pact framework. And recently they have moved forward and they say that what you can do is something called parts framework. Remember, what we are trying to do is to make the design of prompt as easy as possible, right? So the point is, what are the things that you have to remember to write a prompt? If you have them, you are probably good to go on designing a prompt. So first of all, persona. Parts is PARTS, which is obviously acronym. The first P is persona. Persona simply means who. who you are that's going to deliver, right? So you are might be a teacher of ninth grade, you might be a teacher instructor for UG, you might be instructor for PG. Remember, the more accurate description that it gets, the model understands the deliverables and the strategy of the delivery. Because if you are in a school teacher fifth grade, if you are ninth grade, if you are UG, each of them will have different level of complexity in the problem, right? So the complexity of the outcome will depend on the persona, right? So that's first thing. So you have to mention who you are for the prompt. Then A stands for act, right? Act simply says, what do you want to do? Not the topic, remember. Just what do you want to do? You want to design a lesson, you want to create a quiz, you want to design a flashcard, or you want to design a website having something, right? So what you want to do and what is the outcome that you want, right? So that's the act. Third R is the recipient. Recipient simply means that who will be accessing this, for whom you are doing this. For a lesson plan, you may say it's a 10th grade student, or maybe third year UG student, or maybe PG student, or maybe doctoral students. Whatever it is, you have to specify from for whom you are going to design this, right? So that will also impact on the complexity. So the combination of the persona and recipient ultimately results in what is the complexity of the problems or the outcome that you are going to get. Fourth one, T, is the theme. It talks about the structure, or sorry, the topic on which you are going to go give the outcome, right? So theme is very, very important. Obviously, it's the most important thing of the entire parts. On what topic you need this outcome. So it can be quantum computing, it can be computer networks, it can be something else. So depending on what topic you want, it can be as simple as writing a letter, right? So it doesn't really matter. So that's the theme part. Finally, the S, which is the structure. The structure is nothing but how do you want to, you know, arrange the outcome. How do you want your outcome? Or what is the format of your outcome that you want? If you want to design a curriculum, you can say that I want modules, each modules will be of 8 hours long, and divide that into something like that. Or maybe you can say you have 3 hours of lecture, 1 hours of tutorial session, or maybe you have 3 hours of lecture per week and 2 hours of lab sessions. So it can divide. So the model has to understand, okay, this is what I have to do, but in what format? Is it only theory? Is it theory plus lab? Is there integrated quizzes? Is there class evaluations? Is there midterm, end-term examinations? All those things will come over here. So rather than just abstractly thinking of how you should write a query, now what I want to do, what I want you to do is just to fill these things. So let's look at a simple format. Simplified. I am this, who you are, specify for whom, I mean, like whom you are going to give the outcome. State your aim and recipients, right? Like the act and participant. And then finally provide the theme and the structure. On what topic, in what structure, right? And if you do that, you are good to go. Right? For example, if we combine these three things, the example given by Google, what we have is this entire topic has all those 5 parts. For example, you are a high school biology curriculum teacher, it's a persona, design a 5E lessons. I'll come to 5E lesson later on, which is kind of a standard lesson plan. If you don't know, I'll have a slide later on somewhere. We'll discuss towards the end what 5E lesson is. Then you have for 10th grade students, which is the recipient. So you can see that these are color coded. And then what is the topic or the theme is the structure of the function of DNA, right? You can change it. I mean, this is an example. Now just take the structure, replace your topic, replace your own points, and you will have your uh, own prompt, right? Finally, the tailor the lesson for an inquiry based science class, right? Again, that's the recipient, right? Part of the recipient divided into two parts. Remember, it does not have to be in the same way, but yeah, you can do that. Finally, the structure is lab activity and a claim evidence reasoning writing prompt as a exit ticket. So that's the point. So forget about this. You just think about what you want, design those five things, and you are good to go. Right. On one thing that you might be saying that can we have this always? I mean, for some of the fronts, you will not have to provide everything. For example, let's say you want to write an email or write an email, humble email to some of your family members, senior family members, maybe your grandfather or something like that. I mean, stating of the relationship automatically can assume the persona, right? So I cannot exactly tell you where to use all those five things, but the question is, given a particular area, if you have selected the topic on which you want to search, find out as many as them to possible. The more element that you include, the better the outcome will be, right? So that's the parts framework from the Google, that as the Google pushes. Now I will jump from the PPT right now, and I will go to a different model. Now, what we want to discuss is we want to discuss something. We'll discuss three tools specifically. First, the Gemini. Gemini you have already done, so I'm not going to discuss everything, but we are going to look specifically how Gemini can help you learn. That's the first thing we are going to do now. Then we are going to look at something called Notebook LM. That's another Google tool, right? And finally, we are going to look at Google Classroom, right? So that would be what we are going to do as we continue. So we'll stop sharing right now, and I will now share my uh, browser so that we can continue on that. Let's let me share the Microsoft Edge. Okay. So I think my screen is again visible. So let's continue with our discussion on Gemini first, right? Yeah, let me move the video so that I can see, right? Okay, so first of all, let's go to Gemini, and we'll not look into the same simple prompt engineering. Rather than that, we are going to look at specific things, right? So we are going to look at something called uh, topics that we are going to use, right? So I think you have already seen the Gemini window earlier. Let me zoom it a bit so that you can see it as clearly. That should be all. Okay. So first of all, this is your Gemini ID that you get. You can always start your new chat from here. I'm already in a new chat, so it's fine. I can type my prompt over there. I can talk to it via my microphone. I can use different models. I mean, I'm just using this. Remember, I'm just using this as a free because I think most of you are not using a paid version, so there is no point of going into the paid version. So let's go on. I'm not really sure how many times it will let me enter. I hope that till the end of the session, I will be able to do the question answering. So there are different things. You will find out the models, fast model. It's generally all round. Then you can have the reasoning and maths code model where you want reasoning on something, you want to solve mathematical problems, you want to write a code, then probably the reasoning model is better. And then you can upgrade if you have money. I think that's 1950 per month will be the subscription charge. But more than that, what you have to do is go to the tools and you will find out there are four possible uh, specific models, specific outcomes. First is the deep research, then create image. I'm not going into that image part because I'm sticking to learning only. I'm not going into that. The third is canvas, and the fourth one is guided learning. So for us, the important part is the research and the deep research and the guided learning. And the canvas, obviously, without canvas, the things become dull. So we'll go into the canvas also, and we'll do this one by one. Right. So let's start with something. Let's start with maybe guided learning because all we want to do is learn, right? So guided learning, again, remember the parts model, right? Uh, but the guided learning already assumes the persona. Remember, guided learning is a support to you. So you can skip on the part of the persona for the guided learning part. Remember that. Although if you want a very specific one, you can still specify, but yeah, guided learning already says it acts as a teacher to you. You have to specify what you are going to do. Now, what you can do, uh, let's say, let's take a topic. Explain uh, topic, let's say, shall we go for, yeah, let's say quantum entanglement. I mean, I'm taking this because we recently concluded one session on quantum entanglement, so that's going on in my mind. And then you can say that using a step by step approach. You can also say that if I want to look at it visually, although quantum does not have much of the visual, it's more of a mathematical, but you can still ask for it. Uh, Incorporate its and check my uh, understanding along the journey. Let's say this is what I want. I want to learn about the quantum entanglement, right? So I'm still using the flash. Let's see what comes. I mean, the outcome will be dependent on that, but that's not the point. The point is how we are going to use this. So it will give you some outcome, right? And it will give you something like that. So it starts questioning you. So it's, remember, this is a guided learning. So it will give you step by step. It gives you a very brief understanding. Then it asks you that where do you want to focus? And you can go for one particular topic. Let's say point one, right? I mean, generally you have to specify the exact topic, but here I think it should be able to find out what we mean. So foundation of quantum topics, and it has given the numbers based on how you should approach the topic. So it helps you understand how you should, if you're new to this topic, how you should go into it. Now remember, if you're trying to study about it and if you're not really sure that how to deal with this, if you're trying to learn about it and then you want to know how to tackle a subject, this can be a very good one. So if the subject is completely new and you don't know how to start reading about the subject, I mean, as we go older and older, our cognitively our brain that helps us learn becomes shrinks with time. So yeah, our speed of learning becomes slower. So we need very specific topics. So when you start reading a new book, sometimes it becomes too much challenging sometimes, but then it can help you go with that. It can give you a basic idea of what the things are going on. Then it can help you on the topics you should approach. Right? So that's the guided learning. We can go on this. Each time as you go on, it will ask you, each time it will ask with the question, do you want that? If you don't want that, if you want something else, you just type in that no, this is what I want, and you are good to go. So this is more or less about the guided learning. We're not going into that. The second part we are going to do is the guided deep research. That's another point. Specifically, if you want to find out what is going on a particular topic, then deep research can be a good tool. So deep research is meant to find out what is going on a particular topic. So it will go through a lot of materials, which also means that the hallucination becomes slightly limited on this. Remember, we talked about hallucination earlier. So the point is, guided learning sticks to the material. Deep research, where you are working on a topic which is relatively new and you want to limit the hallucination as much as possible. Why it is important? Because when you are uh, in a new topic, using a new topic, it also tells us that you are also do not know everything about the topic, so you might not be able to verify everything. So you want the citations, or you want it to go through the materials and show the source materials also. To do that, that's where it is important. uh, so let's say what we can do in deep research. uh, what we can type, we can say what we want. We can say conduct deep. In fact, if I type conduct deep research, selecting deep research is not that important. It will automatically jump into it. But anyway, so conduct a deep research uh, and generate a report on I know, I think you heard that today was probably the day where artificial rain was to be conducted in Delhi. So let's do that. Why not? On the efficacy of artificial rain on air pollution. Okay, by the way, if you make some mistake on the typing, doesn't really matter. It understands most of the word spelling also. So if you misspell something, it doesn't really matter much. Okay, when you're doing research, one of the important part is to find out the citation. So you can say provide citation to at to citation of citations between 5 to 10 recent peer reviewed articles. Now, you might say that this is a good prompt, but I will say that this is not a really good prompt. You might say, why? You'll find out. I said conduct a good research, but research can be done by many things. It can be done by PhD scholar, it can be done by a faculty, it can be done by a UG student, it can be done by a PG student. I have not specified the level of the research, so that's the first problem that we have with this. Second problem is that I have said provide citations of the 5 to recent peer-reviewed articles. In that, you will find out the problem. I said recent, which is quite a vague one. So I'm going with this, but if you want a better one, you can specify the year onward from which you want this. Or if you want something more, you can do it. I mean, peer review articles is also very kind of vague, but we have to go with this because we do not have specifics. Then you have to mention the journal names, that becomes challenging, that might not be available with them. So let's go with this and see what they give. Right. So once you go into it, it gives you first a research plan, what it is trying to do, right? So you can see it defines the mechanism of the artificial rain, then it search and synthesize the findings from the recent studies. And when we say recent, what do we mean by recent? It has assumed something from the last 5 to 10 years. So because I have made it vague, it assumed itself. I can go to the more and find out there are many other points. And then finally it will analyze the result and it will create the report. If you are okay with that, you can hit on start research, or you can edit the plan. Now, if you edit the plan, it will tell you that this is what you have. Now, you can type in over here what the changes that you want, and they will do the update, right? But let's not go with this. Let's just uh, go with the previous one. I cannot go with that. So I can simply say, let's see, I have not tried it. Uh, go with the proposed plan. I think that should be enough. So we'll find out once I do that, it will open the canvas itself. Now, you may have already heard about the canvas. I think the earlier session has already discussed about the canvas. So canvas, what does it do is it actually shows, I mean, it becomes an editable area where it can modify different texts. You can have access to different things. It's like Google Doc embedded into this. I mean, you have seen that in the chat GPT also, right? However, there is a difference. The ChatGPT and Gemini Canvas is not exactly same. You can do a lot of things in Gemini as you compare to ChatGPT. We'll come to that. The last thing that we are going to discuss is the second thing that we are going to discuss is the canvas itself, and then finally we'll go into the gems, and then we'll jump into the other two. So yeah, it's going for a research. I think the network is pretty slow right now. Uh, I think we can leave it for the time being. Let the research go on the background, and let me come to a different topic because it's taking time. Let's not waste our time over there. So the third thing that we can do from here is the canvas. Right. Now, canvas is a very interesting part. Canvas can be done in can work in multiple ways. Okay, I have kept the video, that's why I'm looking at it again and again. Anyway, how can we expand? Okay, let me. So let's look at the canvas. Canvas can do multiple things. It can do an editable document. It can prepare the document. As you have seen earlier, the research that we are doing, that will also give you the outcome in the canvas itself. Then you can modify and all the things. But the point is, canvas can create interactive objects that your ChatGPT cannot do. So our focus will be how we can use this to make it more interesting, because ultimately we'll embed that in the classroom. That's our goal. The end goal will be something like that. So let's look at I mean, just for entertainment, let's look at a very specific and old school things. Let's look at how we can use it on the kids just to see the power of it. So let's say create a drag and drop activity on fractions with its corresponding representations as part of circle, right? But then we have to understand that for whom this is going to be done. So let's say that this is a review activity for fourth grade students. Now, when I say drag and drop, it automatically understands that I'm trying to ask it to design an interactive platform. So let's look at this. Let's run this. Let's see what happens. So once we do, you will find out that it will run code. It will design HTML codes, right? So it will first create the HTML code, then it will give you a preview of it on what you are going to do. I'm just see the code is done, and it asks for it has clicked on the preview. Have you seen? So preview shows the outcome of this. Now I have to reduce the zoom for the certain time. Let's just reduce it just so that you can go over there. So you have designed a website which has four things, which mentions multiple fractions, and it shows different circles, colored ones, and it says that drag the function circles, fraction circles to the correct fraction boxes. So remember, each time you run the same prompt, it might give you different solutions. So that's not the point, right? The point is what we can do with this. So let's say what it says, that it should be movable. You see you hover over there, I can select one, give it to something. Let's say I have given 1/4 to half. When I do that, it automatically gives a try again, the circle does not match. I said interactive to understand. So it tells me that what I am thinking is wrong. So as a child, I will have to think what is right. So I can do a trial and error, or I can actually do it as the things go, right? I mean, what we are doing, it will not let me complete till the time I have done all the things right. So it will not let me continue. So I have to do everything right and done. If that is done, it will show you awesome. See, everything is done. I have just given one line prompt, and that is enough to design everything. Now you can do the same thing for any topic that you want. You want that for quantum computing, you want that for computer networks, whatever you want, you can do these interactive states, right? So you can go for reset circles. But one thing, the funny thing of Google is they change the features so frequently. You each time you enter, you probably will see a new feature. So what they have included here is something over here. You will be able to see over here. You can drag it over here. It says select and ask and add Gemini features. add Gemini features. So Gemini features is actually gem. So if you want the student to understand better or ask questions on that to describe this is the same question that you have designed, you can ask it to Gemini feature. Also, if you now once it is done, you want to select and ask, maybe I will select, it says that I want to ask questions on that, it will, as a drag and drop, you just click and hold select, and you will find out this ask Gemini questionnaire comes. If you click over there, you can just type in your question on that will explain. So it's like your predefined questions, but if you are giving it to a child or maybe something like that, you probably will have a different questionnaires. Remember, in the website you cannot do that, you can do it something else. So if you do add Gemini features, what it will do, it will analyze the concept, and based on that it will create a custom Gemini for this questions only, and it will update the website again. So this is what it is going to do. It will give you a hint in this question to understand what's going on, and you will find out this will update and it will add a button to the hint of this question. Okay, I think it's getting updated. So you see that now it has added a hint to each of them, and if you click them, it will try to explain on that. See, I've clicked on that, the 3 by 4. It says, hello there, that's a great question. Think of a whole pizza that has. So based on your question, the hints will come. Now, there we don't have much of the things because we just asked it to add. So it added the feature based on its understanding, not my requirement. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind. Okay, so that's I think more or less the things that we have. Let's do something else. Hmm, Let's go for the other things. Let's go back to the artificial lane and see if the code is already designed or not. So yeah, I can see that it's already created. You have a lot of documents. It's almost like a research article, and it has all those things over there, right? So I will come to that, what we else we can do. So it has all the parts like a standard document, and finally you should have the references. It has all the sources from where it has collected the data. As I said, that deep research will try to limit the hallucination. So that's where it has to put everything. Uh, it also gives you the sources that are read but not used in the report. Maybe it did not found that much useful. It's also there, so you can research over there. And the thoughts is it shows the step-by-step process by which it has built the document. So if you want to find out if the logic behind preparing this document was right, you can always click on the thoughts and look into the explanation of why it has created this document in this way, right? So that is more or less the idea of creating of the deep research. Now when you look at the top, there are few specific things have come. If you look at here, you will find out the top buttons will vary based on the thing, the act that you have done. Like you have done deep research, so what you are going to get, you are going to get the contents. It will give you something like a table of content. You can do a share and export. You can share it directly, or you can directly copy to the Google Docs. So on the same login that we have, you can export it to the docs. So everything that you have done, you can do. But let's say if you want to change, maybe there are certain changes that you want, you can always go for a create, and you can do on top of it. So remember what you can do on the deep research. We wanted to analyze more, right? So first is you can do a web page. So you will get a web page on the everything, all the topics that you're getting. So remember, deep research will give you multiple things that you can go on. because you're studying, right? You're studying a new topic. So after you read this, you can go for one of the things. First, you can create a web page. Let's say you want to host a web page for others. You can always click on the web page. It will create a web page on top of it on the same content. Remember, it will simplify the content and put that on the website. You can do infographics. We'll see that after some time. Again, these are taking some time, I know, but yeah, let's just continue on that. We can also use the canvas for coding, right? But again, it is going slightly beyond the scope of this lecture specifically, so I'm not going into it, but yeah, that's something you can do. More interestingly, what you can do is you can create MCQs on coding, and that's something else, right? So anyway, uh, so few more things. Let's let it build it. Let me go to, I think it's getting hanged. What we can do, let me see. Yeah, so it has come back. Uh, Let us go to Canvas once again. And let's look at something else. I mean, I will talk to you about something. So we'll discuss something about something called flashcard. So if you don't know flashcard, I think you can see these are the flashcards. Generally, flashcards are rectangular hard paper cards. The idea is if you want to, let's say, give extempo somewhere, or you are going to teach somewhere where you are unable to remember the topics per se, or maybe you want to just remind yourself what you can remember about something of the topics, this is what you use for. What you do is you take one page, you write the topic on top, just the topic name. Remember, the short topic name that you write over there, you have to have multiple cards, right? And then you create a deck of the cards. Then what you do, you just look at the card and you're supposed to remember everything or speak everything or write everything about it the way you are comfortable with, right? I remember me and one of my friends in my BTech times, we used to do this. We used to check. So he will create decks for me. I will create decks for him, and he will question me on that. I will question him from this. So these are the decks. That time we did not have this module, so we were stuck with this cards. We did not purchase that. Obviously, we cut out simple A4 papers to create this. Anyway, so the point is, if I want to uh, write that, I should be able to do that in Canvas. I forgot. Maybe I've done that a lot long back, but I can say create flashcards to test my concept on quantum entanglement. Let's say, I think sometimes it detects, sometimes it doesn't detect. I have not written interactive, but let's say if it can do that. Yeah, so when I say create flashcards, generally it will again jump into the canvas. Remember, you have to select canvas if you want to do this. If you don't select canvas, it will just give you textual format of the flashcards that you can do. Right. So it first has done that, then I think I should be able to do that on the flashcards. So yeah, the topic is over here. Now I can go to the create and I can do multiple things. I can create infographic, I can create quiz, I can create flashcards. Let's go to the flashcards first. So let's click on that. let's see what we mean by the flashcard. You'll find out it's actually very simple. So it will create something like this. Remember, flashcards are again just the cards that move forward over that. So it has created 6 flashcards one by one. You can shuffle the flashcards as you want, but it simply just gives you the prominent topics, important topics that you have to remember. Quantum entanglement, then classical versus quantum correlation, Bell's theorem, non-locality, EPR paradox, and Bell states. Right? These are the 6 topics you are supposed to remember on this particular topic called quantum entanglement. So remember, if you're again, I'm talking about learning, right? So after you have learned or studied something, how do you remember? Remember, we have to, we remember, I think, 1/4 of the things next day, half of the whatever we studied in 1 week, and in 1 month we remember only quarter of the entire thing. I mean, there was something like that. I am not really sure about it, but it was something like that. So the point is, after you studied something, this is how you can remind, you can test your theory, that how much do I actually remember what I have studied. So you can create, once let's say you have used your canvas for creating the document, you can go and find out that, right? You can always share this canvas on some of the links. You can have this link copied, give it to someone, they can check on this particular topic, right? You can do a shuffle, and every topic gets shuffled. Generally it will give you step by step, but if you shuffle, it gets randomized. Okay, let's do that once again, right? So So after you complete, it will give you something like this summary page, which will give you the quiz. It will ask you for the study guide on that, or you might want to restart flashcard. So you can, or you can click on the back so that you can go back to the previous ones, right? And if you want to go back to the base canvas, you can open the canvas once again. Let's look at the other things. Infographics. I will go to the quiz in the other one. Uh, so infographics gives you a image based summary on the topic that we have, right? So whatever topic you are having, again, you remember, if you want to present this topic somewhere, probably what you need is to have more images than the data textual format. In that one point, infography is actually highly relevant. In fact, this kind of an interactive ones, you can select some of the things. Let's see how it generates, because it generates from its own, and then you can do something on that. So it will take some time to create the infographics. Again, infographics is also one web page, specific web page, but focused on the infographics. So it will first create the HTML code, then it will jump into the preview. Again, remember, we're trying to see how well you can present or remember the things. Each of these points that we are discussing can be used to test your own theory, or you can help others use that, right? So that's one of the point. Again, uh, let's it should be done by now. Yeah. So it almost looks like the modern PPTs that you see. You can simply see. So it summarized all the major points of this into this. The clean energy revolution, 35% of the electricity, $500 billion, 50% of the reduction of the solar costs, growth of renewables, renewable mix, key pellets. You can always, I mean, why I mean interactive, if you hover over there, you will find out the interactive data over there. What is the percentage? What is the data? So it's kind of a very interesting way of representing the data. If you really want to represent the data somewhere, if you want to present it, you can just copy this web page and run this web page somewhere, and you can present on that, right? So It went in a different topic, I know, but you can also present a topic from somewhere else. I'm not really sure how it is jumped from this. I think I have made a different request somewhere else in this same prompt. From there, they are taking this particular data. Anyway, let's close this. Let's open the different topic. Let's go to other chat. Let's say artificial rains. We have done that earlier. Let's go to a quiz from there. You can do quiz from in two ways. One is either you can do a deep research and you will find out quiz over there, or if you want to create quiz separately for some other topic, what you can do is you can simply open the canvas, type in interactive quiz on this topic. It will create that. So let's not, it's very simple, similar to the previous one, so let's not go into that. Let's go to the quiz here only. What do I mean by interactive quiz? That's what I wanted to show you. You'll find out why I'm saying Google gives you a better idea or better way of representation when you are talking about teaching and learning. That thing is missing in most of the other platforms. So first of all, it will create many MCQs, but these MCQs are not just based, text based. Here you can actually click and go, and summary, it will give you the outcome. So let's not go into that. So first it will give you a question, it will give you probably a hint. Most of the cases it provides a hint, and then you have to choose one. So when you select that, it will give you which one is right, which one is wrong. So it gives you the idea where you have learned. Next, I will just randomly click on that. I'm not going to select any of them. I'm just using it. Maybe all of the questions I'm giving randomly, all of them are wrong. One question is right. Yeah, my day for lottery. Two questions are right. Even not thinking about that. Three questions, all the B's are right. No, now it has changed. So after I complete, it gives you the idea of how much have I learned. Remember, we said in the beginning that after you study something, you prepare notes, then I will have to get feedback on your learning, right? Then analyze your feedback on the learning. Then you can customize based on this analysis. So first we have seen the document, how well we can represent. Then we have seen how we can get a feedback on that based on the quiz. Then this gives you an analysis. You get 3 out of 10, 30% accuracy, 3 right, 7 wrong. You have not skipped any. And then it says that you can analyze my performance, or you can go for a study guide and flashcards once again. So let's see the analysis of performance, because that's more important to us, right? So if you go for the analysis, it will tell you that where you have lost. So it gives you what you have done right, what you have done wrong, and based on that, where you should focus. It should be bold, but sometimes it doesn't really work. The double stars will become bold, and it shows the which of the points that you have to keep in mind, right? So that's one of the points. By the way, I mean, you might be interested in what we are seeing over there. I think I have something called Quillbot associated on this browser. That's why this is coming. I mean, if I want to, update the writing style, that's how I can do. I mean, that's completely different thing, not part of it. But anyway, after that, I can always generate a study guide out of this. Remember, this is a specific study guide on this particular topic. So it understands that you may have not understood the topic well, so you can use a study guide to review, reread the entire things in a guided manner and go. But if you need more quiz, you can always go back to this. Right, so this is more or less the Gemini that we wanted to discuss. Next, one more thing we'll have to discuss quickly. This is called gems. I think we have done the gems earlier. Just some of the things. We have already many gems already available over here. right? Like brainstormer, storybook. I think there is a career guidance is also there. Sometimes it shows, sometimes it does not show. These are the pre-made ones. But more importantly, if you want to go to the classroom, one thing that we need is the gems. Gemini Gem, right? So Gemini Gem is something like what you want to do. But let's, I think we have only half an hour left. So let's not get into this, and we'll come to Gemini Gem from the classroom, right? That would be better. Okay, I think I have lost, I've missed one thing. If we go over here, let's go to the artificial rain and let's go to the canvas. For that, you will find out another thing called audio overview. So audio overview will be a discussion of two authors, two people discussing on this particular topic, right? So you'll find out it kind of humanized discussion, like two persons are discussing on this topic, so they will discuss strengths and weakness of that, and you can customize that. That's something else, right? So that's something that you can do. You can, if you, let's say you are driving to your home and you want to use this time, what you can do is you can create an audio overview on that and download the audio, run it, right? It becomes an audio. I'm not really, I've clicked it by default. I did not want to do it over here, but let's say it will generate an audio, but we do not have much control on that, right? But let's remember the term that we said, hallucination. We said that hallucination is less when you select the deep research, right? Now the point is deep research can limit the hallucination, but still there can be a huge amount of hallucinations if you see. So it will give you the points, but in some of the discussions it can inject theories that doesn't really exist. Okay, so for that, specifically for the new topic, someone is trying to do a research on, maybe he is not willing to indulge in what might be wrong, or maybe the topic on which you want to learn is very, very limited. You do not want to go with this LLM models, the Gemini, not ChatGPT, because they will inject things from the outside. What if we have a way of controlling the source material based on which the model gives an input? None of these models, none of these platforms, be it Gemini, ChatGPT, can restrict on the material that you provide. It will always look forward, look further, and find out other things. So the tool that you can really use to handle, I mean, to do that on a limited material and limit the hallucination, to help you learn about something, is called the notebook LM. Notebook LM is very good if you are a researcher, if you are looking for a new topic based on the research on something like that. So that's where the notebook LM comes into the picture. Now, if you open the notebook LM, it will be a different page, and you will get a uh, you get a bar on this saying that try notebook LM. If you click this, you will come to this particular topic, web landing page of the notebook LM. It seems very simple, right? Non-lethal. The idea is the impact of notebook LM is very high if you are really a researcher or you're a very cautious reader. Now, there are two things. There are few featured notebooks. If you go to the see all, you will find out over here. Let's zoom in a bit. Yeah, I think that should be visible to you. You can click see all, and all the custom made featured notebooks are present. Now, in that case, it will tell you the name of the notebook. It will give you who created that or the category of that, when it was created, and how many resources already there inside it, right? Up to that is fine, and it's very simple to do that. So notebook LM, the plus point of notebook LM is it only limits to the material uploaded or provided in this. So that's a huge plus point that you want. Okay, So this is something where already some texts are there, like William Shakespeare, all the novels I think are already there as a resource, so you can go into it. But let's not go into it. Let's find out how we can do our own, because ultimately we want to learn based on our requirement, right? So I don't really care what is going on. So let's try to create a new notebook. So you'll find out over here, you can click over here, and it will ask you to create a new notebook. Now, first time when you come over here, you see this particular landing page. So when you want to create, it says first you upload your documents, right? You can choose your document over here, right? You can choose uploading the document from here, or what you can do is you can select from the Google Drive. So you can click on the Google Drive, it will go to the drive and it will find out what it can actually upload, right? Or I think I missed it somewhere. There is something. Okay, you will find out discover also. But anyway, if you cancel that out, you will find out that you will come to this particular web page. It has many things. This is also an app. Remember, if this is an app, you can install it as a different app like you do on the YouTube. So you can go to any browser, you will go to the top, you will find out app available. You can always install over there. But let's not indulge in that right now. Let's say that this is what you are going to do. So on the left hand side, this is the resources. On the top, you will find out the notebook type. Let's say, I think I have some materials. We'll name them later on. Let's see what materials we can find out. So on the left hand side on the resource, you will find out add here. Then you will find out discover. So if you do not have really a material, or you find out that the materials are already there online, you can click on discover and you can search over there. Search the Google Drive or search the website, right? I'm feeling curious, like I'm feeling lucky in Gmail, Google. It will try to find out some of the things, but that's not important. We want to do something from us. We want to limit the resources. And if you look at if you remember the previous dashboard, you will find out on the free version it will let you upload 50 resources on this page, right? I'll come to that. 50 resources is not less, it's actually a huge amount. But if you want to go further, there is a trick that I will tell you. That's a separate thing. That's not, we'll discuss towards the end. What is the trick that you can do? Okay, first of all, we have to add resources. So we'll add, again, the same previous page will come. You can go to Google Drive, or let me say I will upload from my desktop. So I have, let's go to simple computer networks topics. I have few lecture materials. Uh, Remember, it can only upload few formats. It will tell you it can upload PDF, it can upload text, it can have markdown, audio, which is MP3, and docx. If you try to put PowerPoint or Excel, it might not be able to take that, right? So be very careful what is the format, or do the format conversion on that. And once I've selected, I will have to do add. After that, it uploads them one by one. So you can see these are still uploading, and few of them are pending. You get the data, right? So based on all this uploaded material, it will give you a small overview of the material that has been uploaded. So it shows there are 7 sources. Sorry, I'm not going to discuss somehow. Okay, there are 7 materials. You will find out all the materials are there. Then I will have some, it explains what we have and what we can do about it. On the middle, this is where you are going to start your prompt. Again, you have to depend on the prompt. So the prompt comes over here. So whatever prompt styles we have seen earlier, everything embeds over here. What specific things that you want, what type of outcome you want, everything can be done over here. Again, if you have seen Notebook LM 1 month back, you may have not seen the flashcards or quiz. If you have seen that 2 months back, you probably have not seen the video overview. So it is quickly getting over and over. And in the audio overview, you can see the languages that it supports. And if you were there maybe 2 months back, you may have not seen some of the languages, local languages that it has right now. Okay, so it depends what language you have, right? So let's look at that. So we have 7 resources, and each of them are over there. Now remember, this is a temporary memory. Each time you generate something, next, if you close the notepad or notebook, the memory also gets erased because there is a limited amount of memory, right? So what you have to do if you want to remember this for future, you will find out this pin uh, location or tab everywhere in this case. So we have to do save to note. Once it appears on the right hand side on the studio part, then it is a permanent memory. Otherwise, you are going to lose it. So whatever you type will be erased unless and until you save to note. So remember that whatever important outcome you want to remember, go back previous once again, you will have to do this. Okay, so this is more or less the idea. Each of them are PDFs actually, except one, which is handwritten. Right. Now the point, I mean, I will show you what do I mean by handwritten. Can I go back? So this one, it does not let me see. Uh, let me try to show that. Let me try to. Let me then open. This is what we are talking about. Not this one. Yeah. See, what I meant is you can add handwritten codes also. So this particular document is mostly handwritten. Few of them are images and few of them are actual typed document, but most of them are handwritten. But if you go back, then you will find out it can actually read the handwritten document also. So if you have handwritten note and you want to summarize everything, you can scan it, upload here as PDF. It will still be able to do up to sometimes. I mean, some of the our writings becomes too complicated. It might not be able to detect it, but based on AI, it detects most of the text that I have seen. Right. So one plus point, if you do not have an handwriting recognition software, you can convert that to PDF, upload it over here, and you will find out what is written on that. Okay, by the way, first thing you can do is you can always click on any document. It will give you a summary of that. If I click on the first one, it gives you a summary of the entire document. It gives a source guide that tells you what is there, what are the topics available over there. I can click each of them and it will summarize it further. And also it has the data on the bottom of it, right? It is the data that we have on the PDF. Again, let's reopen the handwritten part and see what it can actually read. It reads some of the parts and it can summarize those things. Again, any parts that we have, one is, I think, yeah, this is the syllabus part. So let's let the point. Okay, what else we can add over here? I can go to add, I can find out YouTube, I can add website. If I have simple text, I can copy it over here also. It becomes a new source. Okay, so also you can discover. Now the first thing you have to remember that whatever I type over here, let's say I want to create a summary or create a 40-hour lecture plan. Let's just say that I'm not adding anything because my source material is there. I just want a 40-hour lecture plan. What does it do? So it will actually, what I meant to say, it's not the outcome. What I meant to say is whatever you are writing is dependent on all the materials you have on the left hand side that has a click button. Remember, I can reduce that. If I want to ask questions on a particular subset of data, I have to deselect others, right? Let's say this is my lecture plan that we have, right? But then I want to rewrite them. I want to do that, but not on particularly on this. I have to, I will do that, but what I will do, I will not select everything. I will do module 1, 2.1, 2.2, and maybe 2.3. Let's leave the other things. And then if I do, it shows that 4 sources. So now the outcome that I'm trying to build is based on these 4 sources only. So it gives you more control on what you want to design or what you want to get out of it. Okay. So again, this prompt is not important for us because we have done prompt earlier. Your course, the previous lectures have also done on the prompt. So let's move ahead from this. Again, if you want to remember something, always go over there. Okay. Probably the most important thing, let's say I'm trying to learn something, is the question is how do I segregate the topics? That becomes a huge challenge for everyone if you do not know about the subject. So the first thing you do is, can you see something called mind map? So if you click on the mind map, it actually creates something called a diagrammatic format of the relationship among the different topics in this particular area, right? So if you see, it will give you a image based understanding on how you should tackle the subject, what are the different parts and everything. Okay, by the time it will take some time, by the time we'll do something else, let's say we have audio overview, we have video overview, we have reports, right? So you can also click on the reports. And if you click on the reports, it will give you what are the different possible reports that you want. So you want a briefing doc, you want a study guide, you want a blog post out of this, or there are some few suggestions. These suggestions, the below suggestions are based on the material that you have uploaded. So you can have a security briefing, technical writing paper, explanatory article, concept explanatory order, whatever it is. So let's say I want a briefing document. I click over there, it will again try to create a new generation, a new report being generated. So now everything that appears over here becomes permanent memory. And whatever I have over here, if I close it and open it, it will be gone. Remember that, right? So in that chat also we can configure based on what we really want. So how do you want your conversion style? If you want a learning guide, it can be like that. Default is generally it will give you like a material explanation, or you can customize it to appear to be a teacher or to be someone who focuses more on math, who focuses more on examples, so that you can customize so how it responds to you. And you finally, how much response do you want? Do you want a longer, shorter, or default? I mean, based on that, you can understand what we really mean. But that's not what we are going to tweak further. So let's look at the computer network. But in the meantime, we'll do something else also. We'll come to that. There are quiz will be something like that. Flashcard we have already seen. It will be again something like that. But let's look at the mind map, which is probably the most important part over here. So if you look at the mind map, it creates something like this. There is an interactive JSON based flashcard type overlay that gives all the concepts. So it says that your course outline, the course is about computer networks, and in that you have multiple topics. Course outline, which is maybe the first thing you look at, network fundamentals, network structure, layering, network service tools, data link layer, MAC sub layer, network layer. Now remember, you might not be happy with this, so you can create another mind map and then check, right? So it's not that the mind map that it has given is done. No, you can always go back and create another mind map. You can always go back. You will click mind map, it will click another mind map and find out which one is more better suited for you and keep that. Now, let's go back to what do we mean by mind map? Is it only just a flashy thing that shows different thing? No, it has more important task to be done. So each time you have a block on the right hand side, you see it will have an arrow either left hand side or right hand side. If the topic is expanded further, then it will have a left hand side collapse mean. By the left arrow means it's a collapse. So if you click that, it will collapse a single topic. You click that, it will get expanded. So any block, you will find out that there is a right arrow. That means it can be expanded further. So you click on that, it will expand. Click on that, it will expand. And you see that there are no more arrow. That means these are the minute topics that cannot be segregated further. Now, you might say that, okay, I get an outline of how we should study a topic or what are the topics I should deal with. Up to that is fine. Superior things, but is this the only thing that it does? No, it has more important parts. If you want to revisit and quickly summarize this particular part, maybe a shorter topic, maybe a longer topic, if you click on the topic, it will create a summary of that particular topic. Let's say DNS, HTTP, FTP. And then remember, this summary is based on the materials, the source materials, all of them that are selected. So you can see that it has created a material out of this particular topic and based on the previous one. So whatever you have included based on that, it has created a study material for you. Again, I will say that it's not completely alienated from the hallucination, but we'll see. What I can say is the hallucination here is almost negligible. I mean, if you compare with the other general LLM models, this will have a very limited hallucination, so you can be very careful about it. So if you're trying to you're reading it for the first time, this is a better tool for you than the study guide in Gemini or in ChatGPT, because the chances of this giving a hallucinated answer is much more less, because it mostly depends on the materials that you've uploaded. So what we have, the trick is to the better outcome will come from better source materials. So better the source material, better the outcome will be. So we have to be careful about the source materials that you're trying to use it. Right? So that's one of the things. Okay. Uh, let's I can do that anything. I can click over here. It will create a summary of the overall this concept. So whatever block I need a summary, I can click over there. If you like it, I mean, just as a customary, you can give it a good content or bad content if you already know about the topic. So based on that, so that the Gemini experts can make the platform better. But anyway, I'm not going into this. I can also download that, but that's not what I want to do over here. Again, so I have a briefing of something. Again, let's say that this is the material I have done. What I will do is I will going to store this. So I will click on save to note and you can see it goes over there. I can always delete it if I want it, and I can mark it over there. Right. So you will find out some of them are memory, some of them okay, let's look at the briefing doc once. Let's look at the briefing doc that has everything on the entire topic. So the briefing doc has the summary of the entire topic from all the materials, right? So if that is good enough, you can copy it and paste it somewhere else as you want. But that's something, I mean, it's a very simple general idea that you should begin with, because it's a very generic one. You will not find very important topics over there. It's just a briefing overview of the entire topic. Now, each of these different materials that we had appears over there. So let's say this is the application layer protocols that we have created just now from here. This is stored over here. And I like this document. This probably summary of lot of things. Now I want to delete some of the materials. What I can do is I when you're doing this. Right? So this is how you can manage. Now, one more important part, the overviews. So I can do always the flashcard, and flashcards can be generated, and you see this pencil button, that means you can customize them. So you can just click that. If you click that, the default format will be created. But if you want to customize it, you can always click on this button and you will find out what you can customize. So let's say, what is the number of cards? You can do fewer, standard, more if you need more flashcards. Remember more things minutely. That's probably the things. Level of difficulty by default takes medium, or you can go for easy or hard. Or if there are specific instructions as the examples that are given, you can write the specific instruction and give generate. So it will generate something like that. Similar to that, you can generate quiz on the entire topic, or you can do that on a subtopic. So you can specify the topics over here, and you can select the other things like the flashcards. You will find out number of questions and level of difficulty is similar to the flashcard, right? So up to that is fine. You can always look at the flashcard, which is ready with me now. So it is again this almost the similar thing like that. Now the flashcards here are more or less about the questions, because I'm trying to learn here. So I will have to zoom it out somewhat, otherwise it's not entirely visible. Yeah, so I can see the flashcard. It says 72 flashcards because it's a huge topic. It's the entire computer networks topic uploaded over here. So I can always see the question. I can try to remember. To check if I'm right or wrong, I can always see the answer, right? And if I'm not really sure what is the answer, I can ask it to explain. So if it explains, again, it will create a source material, not source material. It will create another chat or another note explaining this answer, right? So first you read the brief, then you go to the mind map to understand how to tackle the topic. Then based on the topic, you go to each of the topic, read about it, come back to the flashcard. Flashcards give you a brief understanding, tests you if you are right or wrong. But these are the much simpler test. Once you are okay with the flashcard, you can explain, you can then go to a quiz, because quiz can sometimes be more, question type. It gives you more mental pressure to handle it. So that's one of the things, right? So that's generally my suggested way to approach the things. Okay, so again, any source material, any note can be deleted. You can also add your own note over there, and you can write over there. So if you have a different text material, you can add it as a note, and you can do that, right? So anyway, I'm not going into this. Audio overview, let's go into it. So audio overview gives you a brief understanding on the discussion. As I said earlier, in Canvas, the audio overview does not give you any, what you call it, any control on how you can modify it. Notebook LM, because it's more for the learning perspective, you're trying to learn that, it can have better effects. What you can do is there are different formats that are specified. You can have a deep dive. It has been explained over there. You have a brief discussion. It will be 2-3 minutes or something like that. It has a critic. That means critical discussion among two persons. Remember, it's always among two persons. Then you can do a debate, right? So debate means the two persons will do the debate on the points. Let's say I will do critique. I will say short. I can select the language. It is by default English, but I can always go for Hindi or Bengali or Gujarati or whatever language you belong to. If it is there, if you can see on the Indian languages on the top of it over here, if the language belongs to you, can always select it over there, and then you can generate. So it will take some time to generate. Similarly, you can also go for the video. You can go for the video overview where it shows different things. Again, the format is either explainer or the brief. Brief means the video will be short. Explainer means it will go deeper into the concept. Now, what is the visual style? You can go for any one of them, auto select. will depending on the topic, it will select one of them. It can be whiteboard, it can be kawaii, it can be anime. You can create topics and upload in the YouTube also. That's up to you can create the video, then upload. You can do anything. You can present that to students, you can present that to the student so that they can do it, right? And then you can give a specific topic, like you want to give a specific case study that it can do, right? I think I have made some uh, video for you already. Yeah, I think I have tested, because it takes a lot of time to create the video. I have a different, in a different place, I have created the video for you just to show you how it looks like. So this is the similar, the sources are almost similar, and this is the video that is over there. So it automatically given it a name called the journey of a packet. So it simply says what you can do. I'm not really sure that you should be able to listen to it or not. Let me see. Can I update that? Hmm, let me see. I think I'll have to stop it. Whatever it is, I mean, video, the audio is not important right now, but you can simply see the video.
Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to follow a single click on its incredible journey right across the globe. So, what does happen when you click that link? It's not magic, but it sure feels like it. Okay, so your click starts right here in your local network. It's your home base for all your devices. All these devices can talk to each other, but to get outside, they need a guide, your router. Yeah, think of your router as the local post office. It's getting your
ready for its big trip. All right, your data's leaving home now. It travels through an access network run by your ISP. So whether it's by phone line or cable, your data has now reached the ISP. The real journey begins. Here's the thing. Your data doesn't travel in one big piece. It's chopped into thousands of tiny packets.
This is called packet switching. It's what lets millions of us share the internet all at the same time.
I think we got good enough understanding of what I mean by the video overview. So you can have different topics, it will create something like that. Right, so that's one of the things. Now I mean, this is more or less about the how you can use a notebook LM for the learning purpose. More importantly, some people say that if you are a researcher, maybe you're trying to do a literature review, you're trying to find out what is happening. Sometimes this 50 resources may not be enough. So there are two tricks to that. I will not show you directly, but let's have a discussion on that. The first trick is, as I said earlier, you can create a summary of a subset of the papers. Let's say you select a subset of the papers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and by some caption, you have created a document. You convert that to a source. So let's say you have a note, and this is the note, and you can convert that to source. Then you delete those materials. So you get one out of all the previous selected. That's one way of handling. But in that case, the challenge is you are going to lose out on some of the information. Obviously, the brief do not have the entire data, right? So that will be one way the problem. Second solution, very intelligent solution that I've seen someone propose to me, is you can convert your PDF to document. Then if you, let me see. Okay, then what you can do is if you open Google Docs, let's open docs.google. If you open Google Docs, you will find out if you have a blank document. Now Google Doc allows you to have tabs, right? Each tab is like an individual document. So you copy paste the entire document in tab 1, you add another tab, entirely keep everything. So I think by in free module they will allow you to have 20 tabs or so. So you can convert your data, if it is a text based data, keep the data in multiple tabs over here and upload this doc over there. That way you can include a lot of data on the class, on the notebook LM. So that's one of the quick fix of how you can handle it, right? So this is more or less, I think we have done most of the base things that we wanted to discuss about the teaching learning. Finally, we'll come to the delivery. For delivery, we'll go to classroom. Again, this is a least priority to me only because if you have a free classroom, probably the Gemini option you will not get, right? Why you will not get? Because it on currently probably they are giving it to the Google Suite for educators. If you have your institutional Gmail, then you will get it. If you are using your personal Gmail, probably you will not see it unless and until you request it. It will take time. They will verify and they will update that. Otherwise, you will not probably have that. So anyway, so just to show what we can do, if you have your classroom, you can always go to a Gemini tab that we have on the left hand side. So I'm not going discussing the entire part of the Google Classroom because that's not the prospect of this particular uh, session. The first thing is you will get this scaffolding that shows all the custom Gemini options that you can use over here. I'm not going into each of them because most of them are for classroom management. So that's not exactly for learning, but let's just have an understanding of what we can do. You can go to, you know, expand and you will see all the things. By the logo, you will understand some of the things that has the Gemini logo. It seems that it is directly for the Gemini. That's it. And where you see specific logo, they are custom made for very specific purpose. For example, if you want to create a rubric for a particular classroom, you can always click over there and it will ask you different things, and based on that, it will create the rubrics. Again, let's go back to the previous one, right? So like that, you can do many things like generate a quiz on a particular topic, build a choice board based, write a story, tackle a common misconception. Again, these will all come from there. So you can have a target code from there, a topic, and so on and so forth, right? So that's one of the things. One more thing that I wanted to show is something called outline lesson plan, because again this will be part of the learning part, because if you start learning a new topic you need a lesson plan either for you or for your students. Now target grade is for which you can write UG, you can write third year UG, you can write undergrad, postgrad, whatever it is, it's that grade. And then it has an option on the template. What is the template? General or 5e? And we discussed about that earlier. We have already seen earlier in my slide that there is something called 5e. So 5e is a standard template for designing lesson plan, right? We'll come to that after some time. And then you can have instructional material. Based on that, it will create this particular thing. But that's not what we mean to do over here. More importantly, what we have here is these two things. One, create gem for this particular task and create notebook for a particular task. So if I do go for a create gem, it will again go to the Gemini and do the task for you. Right, like the previous one. Or you can always, what is the time? 6:05. Okay. It's almost time. I mean, we are done almost. Or you can create a notebook from here. More importantly, if you go to any of the classes, let's say, let's go to classes and go to the classwork. The important part over here is you go to create, then you can include notebook LM or gem for the students. For example, let's say I want a gem to be included. So there are two ways of including it. You can directly create and include gem over there, or you can go to assignment and then you can add these things, notebook LM, gem, and other things. So anyway, the idea is pretty much same, right? So let's say you want to create a gem. So let's say go from there, directly go to gem over here. And then when you try to create gem, I mean, when you click gem, there are two ways of doing it. Either you create a new one for this particular classroom, and then you can select the existing ones, right? So why you want to do that? Let's say I have seen notebook LM how we can use to study myself, or I have seen Gemini to study myself. Now, what if I want to do the same and deliver it to the students? So I will create a custom GPT or custom Gen, which is similar to custom GPT in Chat GPT. Then I will have to give it to the students so that they can use it to learn, right? So I can create a new one. There are many templates that you can do, right? So you can first select a template like study partner, quiz me, or if you want to test them as a quiz, brainstorm partner or real world connector, whatever you want based on the requirement. From the name, you can guess that what it actually is doing. And then what you can else do is what is the personalization? That means what is the topic that is going to take? You can include the topics from here. You can include the questions from here. You can select all of them. Then you might want to, let's say, quiz me and create a gem, right? And then you post it in the classroom. The students can easily do that, right? Students can actually design the gem and use it for their own understanding. Uh, okay, so I was not sure what are the topics over there. What is the class operating system? So it says that could you please tell me your grade level and specific topic on which you want to work on. So I'll say third year UG with me on uh, maybe you can say deadlocks, or maybe I can say process. If I do that, remember I'm just testing it. It has opened that and it is testing my discussion, right? So based on the previous ones. Again, the point is after I tested whatever it is, it has come exactly like the previous one, the interactive ones, as you have seen. Once I feel that whatever the test is going on, it is okay, I can simply post it and the students will be able to use it. The same thing will be for the notebook LM also. If you have source materials, if you have all those materials you have created, the topics has been saved, you can share the notebook LM over there, right? So easily you can give the Gemini gem or the notebook LM to the students. So first two things, we have seen how we can use it for us. Then we have seen how we can do that or deliver that to the students also. So I think that's it. It's 2 hours. We did not, I think, I expected it to end earlier also, but yeah, with the discussion, it went on. So if you have any questions, I can take it right now. I think that would be all. Okay, before that, just one more thing is, as I said, that you will again and again see that name called 5E lesson plans. Just I want to show you what 5E lesson plan is. So I will reshare it once again. I will give it to Yeah, so just look at this. The 5 lesson plans are nothing but the 5 E's that you should include while you are preparing your lecture plan for delivering a subject. First is engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. And for that, what should be the teacher's behavior and students' behavior, which are mentioned over there. Like engage means you have to motivate and create interest among the students. Explore means you have to observe and listen to the students interaction, because without the interaction you do not really understand what is happening. Explain, you have to provide the definitions and explanations to the certain concepts. Elaborate means that you have to encourage the application, so you have to, after explaining the theory, you might take up some of the examples and then do it, right? And finally you can evaluate. Finally you can ask some questions, evaluate if the people understood the concept. Maybe you can throw an open-ended question, then understand how the students react to them, right? So these are different points that we can do. Also, what is the student behavior? Engage means students has to listen, they have to participate in activities, they have to explain their own words. That's why the explanation comes after you explain. You have to ask them what that is happening. And elaborate means then apply the concept to some of the hypothetical questionnaires that we might have. And then finally you have to demonstrate your understanding by doing implementation on something, or maybe doing a mathematical problem solution or something like that. So these are the 5 E's. I mean, just this for an interest, you will find out whenever you are looking at this, you will get this context of 5E, 5E1 again and again. So that's why I thought that just I will appraise you about the idea of the 5E lesson. It's a standard way of representing anyway. So I think that concludes my session. If you have any question, please let me know. We can go with that. I think there are no questions right now. However, I have mentioned my email ID in the beginning of my slide, so you can always drop me an email if you have further questions. So you can go with this. You can check this. If you have further questions later on, you can always reach out to me, right? So with that thing, I think that's all from my side. Thank you everyone for being kind enough to listen to me for the last 2 hours. Yeah, I will share the slides uh, to the coordinators of them, and they will share the slides with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for this insightful session. So with this, we conclude today's session. We look forward to your participation in the upcoming session of this FDP. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you all.